Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out to our memorial picnic this afternoon. The program tonight will be, we're going to start serving in about 3 minutes. However, I see everybody has already gone into the serving line. So we are starting serving now. If you'd like to go over, get in line for food and then come back to a table and sit here. And while you're eating, we hope that you will enjoy the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band, who has performed for us in the past and are performing again today. Thank you again. Here you go.
In the words of Abraham Lincoln at the Gettysburg Address, we dedicate this concert to all veterans and their families. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, shall not perish from the earth. The last full measure. Well, we're going to do a little bit of a set change here. We're going to feature some of the great trumpet players that we have. This evening we are under the direction of Mr. Aaron Romaine. He has been our director for a few years now. He is a music educator. He taught in the Bonanzaville school system, and he also plays his saxophone in a lot of the local groups. I'm just going to move over just a little bit because we've got a gaggle of trumpet players moving this way. We are also, back in the clarinet section, we have a longtime director, Mr. Bernie McKigney. Bernie retired from the North Dakota National Guard as a first sergeant, and he is also a proud Vietnam veteran. So we thank all of our directors. And I would like to introduce you to three fine musicians: Paul Sando, Perry Clavin, who is actually the president of the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band, and Gene Hansen. And they are ready to perform a sensational trio. Feature our fine woodwind section, and within this woodwind section we have someone who has been with this organization for way over the 50 years in this band. He played for 6 years in the Navy School of Music. He's played with the likes of Tex Beneke, the Glenn Miller Band, Artie Shaw, George Schoen, the Imperials, with the El Zago Band, Jim Ployer's Fargo Theater All-Star Band. This young man is 93 years young and still playing first clarinet, Mr. Dale Howard. This piece incorporates musical themes and American patriotic songs of the era: Columbia, the Gem of the Ocean, and Dixie. This piece was composed in to represent a military band approaching, passing, and fading into the distance. American Patrol.
I realize I walked right through the shot.
little bit about our organization. We're a volunteer organization, and Thursday nights are our nights to play music, and we are wrapping up our season that started in September and will end next week. Next Thursday, we will be playing another concert on the grounds of the beautiful VA hospital. So we are very excited, and we are so glad to be part of this great celebration. This evening is sponsored by a lot of great sponsors to put this on, and within our program you can tell a lot of the great people that have sponsored us over this season. Tonight on our sponsor board we have Cass County Electric Cooperative, so we want to thank not only them but all the great sponsors of this evening. This next piece is going to feature some more of our fine musicians, and just kind of looking around and making a couple of changes. As always, the faithful Dale Howard on clarinet. And I do see Esther Bromander back there on trombone. Chad Dubuque getting the percussion warmed up. I'm believing Vern Kuhn is going to take it on the tuba, and Bruce Emmel, strong and steady. He's going to do some great trumpet licks on this next piece, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. as I said, we're a volunteer organization, and we have what we call is our exec committee, and they've done a lot of work over the year to arrange these great concerts and getting us some good sponsors and from point A to point B, and they're a great group of people. I had introduced you to Perry Clavin, who was the middle trumpet player. He's been our president for quite a few years. And I think it's more than fitting that we recognize this next volunteer who's been on the exec board for quite a while. And I'm thinking if you look at that plane there, that pretty much spells out who he is. He's a retired hooligan. He retired as a general from the Happy Hooligans. Mr. Lawrence Woodbury, who is our clarinet player, and he's been on the board for quite a while. This next piece incorporates the normally hymn-like strains of America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, into a fast and energetic fanfare. This is an American fanfare. At this time, I would like to have you welcome another fine trombone player, but also one of our fine vocalists, Mr. Dale Raleigh, as the band performs From Sea to Shining Sea.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This is the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band, and I, along with myself, along with Mr. Bernie McKegney, direct this group. Bernie directs this group in the fall, and then after the new year is when I take over and I do this portion of our concert series. One thing I just want to say is, or express, is how much we enjoy performing, how much we enjoy going out, performing for different venues, and this venue in particular is a great venue to play at. We appreciate being asked to perform here, and we just love it. I really want to take this time to express my appreciation and thanks to the group. I know every concert we play at, I always want to give credit where credit is due, and this group is certainly a very hard-working group. Last week we played in Lisbon, and one of the things I had mentioned is this group has members that played professionally throughout their entire lives, and there's also members in this group that played in high school, decided to do a different career path, put their instrument away, and then later on decided, you know, this is a great venue for me to play at, and pick their instrument back up. And this group is such an incredibly hard-working group of individuals, and we wouldn't be here without this core group. So if we could, please give a round of applause for the amount of work these musicians have done. Again, we want to express our appreciation and our thanks for being allowed or given the honor of being able to perform for you tonight. And we are going to end our portion of the concert with a upbeat march entitled the Washington Post March.
very much to the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band. We've had them out here several times, and we really do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Our program is going to start a couple minutes early, but that's okay. Everybody has been fed, so we want you to enjoy the rest of the program this afternoon. And, you know, I was going to ask everybody to stand, but I got half the people standing over here. So if the rest of the folks, if you're able to stand, I'd appreciate it. We're going to have the presentation of colors, followed by the national anthem. So please remove your hats. Because of a pass in the laws here a few years back, if you're a veteran and you wish to render the hand salute, you certainly may. Stand at attention. And tonight we are very, very happy again to have the Junior ROTC, Army Junior ROTC from West Fargo High School, and they will be posting the colors. At the end of the program, they will be retiring the colors. We will stand, they will post the colors. The band will play the national anthem. The ROTC folks will move out, and we'll get on with the rest of the program. So, West Fargo Army Junior ROTC, please post the colors. Thank you very much, and we will see them at the end of the program. At this time, I'd like Emily Willander, who is our Bonanzaville interim director. She's going to come up and say a few words. Emily started less than a year ago, And I have had the opportunity to work with her for the last few months on this event, and I can tell you for sure she's a wonderful person, a well-organized person, and has done an excellent job of organizing this event today. So, Emily, come forward, please.
Hello everyone. I'd just like to take this time to thank you all very much for coming out here to celebrate Memorial Day, and most importantly to thank our veterans and to thank them for their service for this country. It's an honor to host this event and to have you all here today. On your programs, you will see a list of all the people and companies who helped make this event possible. I would like to especially thank Les Bakke for helping me with the coordination of this event. He helped find sponsors, he helped with the advertising and getting the posters distributed. He found those excellent volunteers that grilled your meal tonight. So thank you very much to them for grilling, and it means so much to have the community involved in this event. So thank you very much, Les. I'd also like to thank all the companies and organizations for their monetary donations and for donating the food for tonight. We had Hornbachers and Sunmart donate food for this. I'd like to thank the Bonanzaville for volunteering and preparing the meal tonight. Thank you to the West Fargo JROTC for being here. It means a lot that you could come. I know it's summer for you, but thanks for coming back for this event and volunteering. Thank you to the band. You did a great job, and it was great to listen to you. This was the first time I heard you, and it was very great, so thank you very much. I'd also like to take this opportunity to tell you about a few things going on right now at Bonanzaville. If you didn't get a chance to stop at our membership table when you came in, please do after the program. We have a special going on right now for a family membership. It's a whole household for the family is included in that, and it's usually $50 and it's actually $40, and with that you get registered to win a North Dakota vacation package, which includes a trip to Medora for the musical, the fondue, horseback riding, and then also a trip to Bismarck Mandan for some of the attractions and museums there. So definitely look into that if you haven't. Also, we are having our 4th of July celebration again, just a month away already, and we're going to have a huge fireworks show again. It's going to be twice as big as last year, so make sure you come out for that. We'll have activities going on throughout the day too, so check on our website for a list of all the activities going on and a list of times that they'll take place. I want to give a huge thank you to West Funeral Home and Craig Olson for sponsoring this event. They have done so much in the past years, and I'd like to welcome Craig up here now to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming. We've been part of the event here, I think, for 8 or 9 years or so. Les has been a part of it, and we've been a part of it as well that way. And so we certainly thank everybody for coming out, and do me a favor, when you go home, tell all your friends that you were here and how much fun you had, so you can bring twice as many people back next year. I would like to do one thing in the form of audience participation, if I may. So I thought if we all wanted to join in on a song, God Bless America, let me just take the liberty to kind of start us out, and then if everybody wants to join in with me, I think that would be a nice thing for everybody to participate in, and give a little, if you want to stand, you certainly can do that too if you wish. But while the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much, Emily and Craig. Appreciate that. Yes, this event started 9 years ago. There was a woman who worked for West Funeral Home that was instrumental in starting it, and she's since moved out of the area, but we've continued to do this. I think this is the 9th year. I'm not absolutely sure. I can look that up. I made a slight error in the program today. Dale, I made a slight error in the program today, and at this point in time, my good friend Dale Raleigh will lead us in the service songs, and he will tell you what's going on and when it's going on and everything else. So please come forward.
I thought you forgot about me, Les. I was feeling kind of bad.
I know.
All right, now some participation, please. This band is the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band. You already heard how connected we are to veterans all over the country. Our mission is to spread patriotism through our music. Our goal right now is to give tribute to you, our veterans, who gave us freedom so that we're able to do what we do. You will hear your service anthem. You will hear me say loudly, stand and be recognized. If you are a veteran of that service, stand and be recognized. There are words to each of the anthems in your programs. I'm going to be singing each of the anthems. Please sing along with me. You ready to go? We need some participation here. I want to see some ho-yas. We start with the Coast Guard. Any Coast Guard veterans? United States Coast Guard. Stand and be recognized. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf or storm or howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our faith, our glory too. To fight, to save or fight and die, I, Coast Guard, are for you. Thank you. Now we'll get some action. Let's hear it. United States Army, stand and be recognized. We're to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count up the kings loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along. Way to go, Army. Semper Fi, United States Marine Corps, stand and be recognized. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, the land, and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, first to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. United States Navy, stand and be recognized. Anchors aweigh, my boy, anchors aweigh. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at break of day, halfway through our last night on shore. Dream to United States Air Force. Stand and be recognized. Up we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atta boys, give her the gun, give her the gun. Hey, down we dive, bounding our plane from under. Off with one, hell of a roll. We live in vain or go down in flames. Hey, nothing stopping USA. Way to go, Air Force. As the drums fade, on behalf of the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band, thank you for your service and your love.
Thank you very much, Dale. Dale and I go back quite a ways, and I was not trying to slight him by changing the program slightly. It's just that I didn't read my notes very closely. We go back so far as when we were in college or just after we graduated from college, we played in the same softball team, and now we serve on the same Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board of Clay County. So thank you very much, Dale. Appreciate it. Tonight our guest, Emily, am I missing anything? Are we ready for our guest speaker? Okay. She's the boss. Tonight our guest speaker served in the U.S. Army. She retired from the U.S. Army as a full colonel. She was stationed with the North Dakota National Guard. She was called to active duty in Bosnia and spent 2 years on active duty. And we would like to ask her to come forward now and give us a brief speech on how active duty deployment affected my life. Miss Virginia Kelshar.
Very good. Hi, I'd like to echo the sentiments of everybody else who's been up here so far. How about this band? I mean, are they awesome? This is the first time I've had the opportunity to hear them too, so I'm really impressed. And I'd like to thank Bonanzaville for allowing me this opportunity to come and speak to you about my experiences with my deployment and to be part of this Memorial Day celebration. So I grew up in a small town in Minnesota. I came from a large family. There were 8 of us in the family. I had 4 brothers and 3 sisters. My mom and dad were very hardworking people. My dad worked on the railroad all of his life, and my mom ran a cafe plus raised all of us kids, which was no easy achievement. What they taught us, though, was whatever we wanted in life, if we did it by hard work and honesty and set our goals, we could achieve whatever we wanted. So as I was growing up in this small town in Minnesota, every summer the National Guard would come through the middle of our town because we were right on Highway 28, and the convoy would be heading to AT. And I always thought, oh, I want to do that. So as I got older, I just kept thinking off and on about joining the military. Well, when I graduated from high school, it was right at the end of the Vietnam War. And my brothers highly discouraged me from entering the service at that time. I had a brother who was active duty Air Force, and he retired now after 40 years. And I had a brother who was in the National Guard. So my life took a different pathway at that time, and I went to nursing school. And after nursing school, I started work, met a guy, got married, had some babies, kept on working, and that urge to serve my country never went away. And I was 34 years old, and I woke up one morning and I thought, darn it, this is a day I'm going to call the recruiter. So 34 years old, pick up the phone, look in the phone book. First I find the recruiters, and I checked a couple of different ones, and I chose the North Dakota Army National Guard, or should I say they chose me. So I felt very fortunate to be part of the North Dakota National Guard. I belonged to the state medical detachment for the entire time that I have been in the military, And that was, I don't know if people are familiar with how the Guard and the Reserve work, but the National Guard is a stateside operation, whereas the Reserve is a federal operation. So chances for a deployment for a National Guard nurse are quite slim because we run a clinic. We do shots, we do physicals, we get everybody else ready to go for the National Guard. So I had volunteered for several different deployments, and I never got to go on a deployment. So I happened to be out in Washington, the state of Washington, when one of our units was coming back from Iraq. And I was helping with some post-deployment mission stuff. And when I was out there, I was with the mobilization officer from our state, who at that time was Major Warren Pauling. So I said to him, I am so frustrated. I have applied several times. I have tried to get deployed, and I cannot get deployed. And this is one of those instances where you want to be careful what you wish for. So that was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 8 o'clock the next morning, when I'm still out in Washington, my phone rings, and Major Pauling says, hey, guess what? I got a deployment. And I went, oh, okay, great. Where am I going? Somewhere in the Balkans. And I said, that's a pretty big area. Think you can narrow it down a little bit? So it ended up that I did go to Bosnia. And when I went to Bosnia, the Air National, not the Air National Guard, but our aviation unit from the state also happened to be in Bosnia at the time. And that was in 2005. So we were just winding down our operations in Bosnia at that time, but we were a sustainment mission. So when I was over there, I learned some things about war, about how people, for myself, for instance, I've been pretty sheltered most of my life. I watch TV, I see the horrors of war. I had never really experienced that myself. So when I was over in Bosnia, I started talking to some people, the Bosnian people, and they said, you know, what happened was that one day we were neighbors. We were having coffee together, we were having picnics together, our kids were playing together, they were going to school together. The next day we woke up and neighbors were killing neighbors. The ethnic cleansing that went on over there, they gathered up the young men and the old men, and they took them away to camps, and they shot them and buried them in mass graves. So a lot of the people who were taken away and buried in those mass graves their families still have never recovered their remains. I did have an opportunity to meet 3 individuals who were volunteers that came to Bosnia. One was from Canada, one was from Europe, and one was from the United States. And they were working with a volunteer organization who were trying to help the Bosnian people put the skeletal remains with the DNA and bring their men and boys home, and so that they could bury them and put closure to that awful part of their life. So what these people did was they had a facility set up, and they would go out and they would bring the skeletal remains back to this lab, and these forensic people would have the family members who had never recovered their loved ones bring in DNA samples, like hair samples, toothbrush, pieces of clothing where possibly they could obtain DNA off of, and then they would try to match the DNA with the skeletal remains. Another thing that really impacted me and the ethnic cleansing portion of it, because you just don't quite understand it if you don't see it. I was at Eagle Base, and I would, off and on, we would be able to go into Tuzla, which was the town right outside of Eagle Base. We would go there, and during the afternoons, they had a walking mall right downtown in Tuzla. And they had restaurants and little coffee shops and bars, and they had tables set out, and people would walk up and down and visit, and they would talk to one another. But the one thing that was missing were the boys from age about 20 on up and the men who were older, because of the ethnic cleansing. You would see all of these young girls and women walking and talking, but there were very few men that were still around. There were a lot of Bosnians who worked on Eagle Base when I was there, and they liked the military being there. They liked the U.S. military being there. We were a multinational force, so there were people from all different countries there. And what they had told me, the people that I visited with, the people in the little shops and stuff, they were very, very concerned about the U.S. leaving Bosnia. The group that I was with in Bosnia, we were the last unit from the U.S. that was going to be deployed to Bosnia. They were closing down the base. So the people on post said, even if there's very little military presence in Bosnia, just having the U.S. helicopters fly over once in a while, or the planes fly over once in a while, was enough to signal Serbia that there was a presence of the U.S. there, and that we should kind of hold off doing anything else. So the Bosnian people were afraid that once the U.S. did leave, that within 10 years they would be back to their civil war. I don't know that to be true or not, that will happen, but they really feared that. So there's a book out there called Love Thy Neighbor, and it was written by Peter Maass, M-A-A-S-S, and he talks about Bosnia and the ethnic cleansing and the conflict in Sarajevo. So since we were the last U.S. contingent in Bosnia, they started closing down the base, and after 6 months, which would have been May, because I got there in January, so in May, they were starting to send some of the medical people home. So I was one of those people who was going to be going home. Just so happened that General Haugen, who was the TAG for our state at the time, had come over there to visit, and he visited with the aviation unit, and then he came and he visited with me a little bit. So I was telling him that I'd really like to continue my deployment, and he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I really want to finish my deployment, and there is an opportunity to be a case manager at the Wounded Warrior program, which at that time was called the Community-Based Outpatient Clinic, Community-Based Healthcare Organization out of Camp Williams, Utah. And they were looking for case managers. It just so happened that North Dakota fell into that catchment area, or that task force area. So General Haugen looked at me and goes, okay, we can do that. So he called back to the state, and within a couple weeks I had orders to transfer over to Camp Williams, Utah. Well, at Camp Williams, Utah, what that program is, and I'm sure that you've probably seen it in the news or heard it on TV, they talk about the warrior transition units now. That warrior transition unit, what happens is, the one that I was at was for our Guard and Reserve soldiers who were coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan. But it wasn't for the healthy ones. It was for the ones who had had injuries during the war, and they weren't able to return home and continue with their normal life. So we would bring them into our unit, and I was a case manager supervisor for 10 case managers, RNs. And what we did was, when a soldier came in, for instance, who had a broken leg, we would assign him a case manager. And that case manager would work with his home state and get him all the care he needed in his home state so that that soldier could return home. The beauty of that program is that the soldier was able to remain on active duty status, so they got their regular pay, they got their health care paid for, and they would be home with their family and friends in an environment where they could heal. Some of the injuries that we saw come through there were TBI, or the traumatic brain injury patients. We saw patients with PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. We saw amputees come through there. We saw surgical wounds and fractures, and we just, anything that would prevent them from going back to their full-time job at home until they were healed enough to be discharged from the program. So a couple of the things that really struck me about this, and I think has made me a better person, a better mom, a better wife, and for sure a better soldier, are that the traumatic brain injury patients that came through, they would say, you know what, this is so awful for me because I don't have any wounds. I don't have a broken arm. I don't have an amputation. I don't have any visible scars. I have a head injury. You can't see the head injury. There was one gentleman who I took care of, and he was just in tears because he said, one day my wife sent me out for a gallon of milk. I got in my car, I left home, I was gone for a long time. It was about an hour later, his wife called and said, where are you? And he said, I don't remember where I'm supposed to go, and I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. So he just kept driving around thinking maybe he would remember and not have to go home and tell his wife he can't remember what he was doing. The other thing with traumatic brain injury is they have a lot of headaches. Their concentration is poor. They almost have to write everything down. They have to have the iPads and the reminders. They have to set alarms. It's really a signature injury of our war, and I know we hear that from other places too, but these traumatic brain injury soldiers, they touched me. So the states that we actually did the remote care case management were North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming. So you can see that we really covered a vast area when we did our remote care case management. So I'm going to stay on time here so that I don't get the hook. So one thing I want to leave you with, though, I want to leave you with an analogy that I heard from a chaplain who was deployed with the Minnesota Guard unit that lost 4 or 5 of their soldiers. So I'm going to ask you for a little bit of audience participation. How many of you have ever been out in the middle of a lake in a canoe? Raise your hand. Okay, good. How many of you ever stood up in that canoe? Okay, good. So that, when you stand up in that canoe, that's like the soldier or the military person getting their orders to be deployed. It disrupts the balance of the boat. Okay, so how many of you have jumped from that canoe into the water? Okay, we've got a few brave ones here. So you jump into the water. When that military person jumps into the water, they're leaving the stability of their boat. The people in the boat are still going to carry on. They're going to do exactly what they were doing before you jumped into the water. They're going to pay the bills. They're going to take care of the car. They're going to go to school. They're going to have babies. They're going to graduate from high school. They're going to do everything that they would have done before you jumped out of the boat. So, how many of you in the water have ever tried to crawl back in the boat? How'd that work for you? Yeah, not so good. So if you can think of that, of our soldiers when they're coming back, soldiers and any military personnel who's been deployed, I don't mean just soldiers because I'm Army, but any of our military personnel who have been overseas, when they come back, they're trying to crawl back into that boat. They're trying to get back the life that they had prior to jumping into the water. So just use it. I'm a really visual person, so that really helped me say, yep, it's not as easy because somebody else is paying the bills. Their identity has kind of been taken away. The other thing with a lot of our men and women who are coming back is they've seen a lot of things that they don't want anybody to know they've seen. They have had to do a lot of things that they don't want anybody to know that they've had to do. They don't want to share that with everybody. So when you ask somebody, you know, tell me about your deployment, if they say, nah, I don't think so, don't be offended. It's just that they like sharing with their battle buddies. And anybody who's been in the military knows their battle buddy is their go-to guy or girl. It's a safe haven. You've seen it, you've been there, done that. So I am going to close with that, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to come and participate in this program.
Thank you, Virginia, very much. I was going to say this before her talk started, but we've been at this for 9 years now, and for 8 of the 9 years, we've had a male veteran speak, and Virginia is our first female veteran to speak at our picnic out here at Bonanzaville, and I think she did a super job. So thank you very much for that. We're nearing the end of the program, and I will be asking our wonderful Junior ROTC Army from West Fargo High School to come forward and retire to colors. So again, if you're able to stand, please do so. Remove your headgear. Salute if you're a veteran and choose to. And again, thank you very much, West Fargo Junior ROTC. Please retire to colors. Thank you again for coming. That concludes our program. We certainly do plan, Emily, right, on having this event next May, around Memorial Day time frame. We hope to have the Red River Valley Veterans Concert Band back again. And thank you again for performing for us today. Drive safely and have a wonderful weekend.